Okay, and welcome back. Hour number three on this Friday night. We're going to talk to Stefan Verstappen about how we are going to survive. And many of us are going to survive because we are prepared, we are intelligent, we are making plans, and some of us have just begun to make plans, but that's fine, just so you make them. And as I said in the last hour, and I really mean this, we are now facing world global genocide at the hands of a very small group of people who have planned this for a long, long time. Had World War II gone the other way, General George Patton, had he gotten his way, he would have taken the rest of the German army and the American army and the British and rolled the Soviets all the way back up and past Moscow and been done with them. This is the result of global communism. That was the point of my remarks. And I mean that. Germany was our last chance. Now, you can take that any way you want. And we're not talking about labor camps and forced labor and death and all that. All sides were guilty. We know that Eisenhower presided over the deaths of well over 1 million innocent Germans after the cessation of hostilities because they weren't taken in as prisoners of war. They were taken in as, forget the exact name of it now, but they weren't POWs, so they didn't have any rights. So Eisenhower killed them, all of them. That's a Holocaust, all right? Lots of Holocausts. War is not okay. But what's worse is when you declare war on humanity and endeavor to eradicate up to 90% of it on the entire planet. That's what we're facing right now. So you take your pick. Germany winning World War II, everything moderates. I don't care what extreme it is, it moderates. We would have been fine. All right, Stefan Verstappen is back with us now. Let me put it one more way. I would have much rather dealt with Germany than I would with the globalist elite now who are clearly out to destroy even our little children, 5 years of age and under, with their death shots. Doesn't work for me. Stefan, howdy.
Hey Jeff, how's it going? Good to be back on.
I'm still here. Thank
Yeah?
you.
Well, that's a miracle.
In a way, it is.
I'm so
Right?
I'm surprised you haven't been black bagged off to Guantanamo. Coming soon,
Well, they
anyways.
tried. They've tried. They've tried to kill me several times. So
Yeah. Well,
not
you
my
get.
time. And I've got some help from
Yeah.
way up above there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, tonight I'd like to talk about how we can survive this. There's being a prepper, and I hate that term prepper. I prefer survivalist. There's being a survivalist that gets ready. You know, you get your food, you get your water, you get your medicine, you get a few firearms, and you board up the windows when the time comes, and you live through it, you survive it, you fight it out.
That's right.
As important and often overlooked is building a community. Now we've talked about this a couple of times already. We talked about the check-in club, whereby you have a list of 6, 12 names of people that live alone and are isolated. Often they're
Right.
seniors, often they're invalids, or they're not mobile. Often they are American veterans because most of the homeless people you see are veterans. So that's your reward for going and risking your life for your country, for your government. And so just having somebody call and check in on them and see how they're doing is a huge benefit because the very act of somebody calling to see if you're okay, because most of these people, and I know a lot of them myself, they live alone, they're isolated. Nobody comes to visit them. Nobody calls them. They don't speak to anybody. They sit there in their little
Right.
room, in their little apartment, and they feel that the world has abandoned them. And, oh, what? Look at the suicide rates. What a surprise. Well, it's no surprise at all because this is all part of the global genocide. I mean, yes, they are hell bent and determined to murder us all with their phony Kool Aid. but they've been trying to kill us dozens of different ways. We can add to that the contin epidemic that's resulting in hundreds of thousands of people dying from overdoses, and the fentanyl that, thanks to our good friend China, they must be
I
importing
think
this.
that's even worse, frankly. It's not regulated. I mean, you can overdose on fentanyl so easily. It's not even humorous.
Yeah, I read some.
There's no way to regulate it. You
Yeah,
don't even know what the hell you're dealing with.
they don't know. They don't know. And who's importing that all? Well, look at all those container ships that are coming in from China. You don't think a few
Right.
of them are filled to the rafters with fentanyl? Of course they are. It's the communist Chinese are spreading that around. I guess it's payback for the opium wars, but that wasn't our fault. That was the British. But anyway, so they are killing us in many different ways, and we need to form communities so that we can stick together and support each other. And something as simple as a phone call to somebody that you know, and it's not just the seniors. This applies mostly to seniors. I did some more research in these check-in clubs. There are some around, and they usually run out of a church. Usually, the church community will check in on their parishioners that they know are alone and isolated.
Sure.
But it's not just the seniors, it's people like me, Jeff, people that have spoken the truth their whole life and have lost all their friends and family as a result of that. And I know there's probably 25% of your listeners that know exactly what I'm talking about. We're the crazy ones, we're the tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists, which is, I heard a joke the other day. What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and a conspiracy fact? 6 months.
That's good.
Because we've all,
Just remember this. The correct term is theory, 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 conspiracy theory researcher. I'm a conspiracy theory researcher, not
yeah,
a conspiracy theorist. And
yeah,
that's what you tell people. I
yeah,
research
yeah.
theories.
Or what I like to tell people is I wasn't born yesterday.
That that too.
And so we talked
Yeah.
about communities in terms of something simple like a check-in club, which does a lot of good for people, and especially us truth tellers. The people that hire me to for a consultation, most of them are, they're all by themselves. They're isolated, often, middle-aged, 50 and over, and the family, everybody's abandoned them. Somebody to check in on them, and I do it. I do it. I've been doing this now for years, anyways. There's a couple of guys I know and women. They are homeless. They live in their cars. They drive around the country doing odd jobs. And, I call them every week. I
Yeah.
mean, just to see how they're doing because they're living in the
Good for you.
car. You know,
Good for you. That's
well,
enough to keep some people alive. What's a life worth?
well,
A phone
that's
call?
it.
I hope so.
Well, I just got off the phone. Well, I do Skype the phone with one of the guys, and he listens to all the radio shows and things like that. He's a great guy. He's an artist, and he kind of like travels from town to town. He does window displays, and he's a great guy, But Jeff, it's so sad that he lives, and he's been living out of his car now for as long as I've known him, which is like 3, 4 years. And he tells me, he says, well, it's really great that somebody like you would call and see how I'm doing. Somebody that calls him. Anyways, I've been doing this. Jeff, I walk the talk. I've always been generous and giving, because that's part of my philosophy. Leave the
Sure.
world a better place than you found. And then we talked
You bet.
about community defense. Well, the lights go out, the police are no longer on duty, and guess what? You're going to be finding people running up and down your street, breaking into houses, looting, raping, murdering. So, how are you going to defend against that? Well, we talked about that, I think it was the last time I was on the show, about forming. You start off, you form a neighborhood watch community, right? So you're not scaring everybody. Because again, I tend.
Everybody does a 4 hour shift, whatever. You just take over, you watch your particular corner of the neighborhood or the
That's right.
community,
That's right.
and you pop it off to somebody else. It's not going to break your back, for God's sakes.
Yeah,
You
you
get a
just.
night vision goggle. You can watch things in the dark to see if there's anybody lurking around.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you're on the two-way radio with all of your contemporaries. It's not a problem. You
Yeah,
can do it.
I heard a good idea from a guy I was speaking to yesterday, and that was drones. You can
Oh, sure.
get one of those
You got a
hobby.
problem? Send up a drone.
Yeah,
I think they have night vision drones now, I think.
yeah, they do. Yeah, yeah, you can get infrared on the drones on the cameras. So you can. You don't even have to leave your house. You just sit there. One of these little tiny drones. You hold it in the palm of your hand, and then it can go up over the roofs, and it can do a big circle around the neighborhood and check anything out, and then come back. So we've
Yep.
talked about that. But that's just scratching the surface to the types and numbers of communities we can form. But before I talk about the other kind of communities, I want to reveal to your listeners, for the first time, one of my strategies that I've only shared with a couple of clients, and they have. I've recently gotten.
That one of your clients in the background there?
Oh, that's Buffy, blind Buffy. Buffy, that's okay. She's blind. She wanders around bumping into things, and then she doesn't know where she is, so she starts yelling, and I got to say, "Good girl, Buffy," and so she hears my voice, and I guess
That's nice.
it soothes her. Jesus, Jeff.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I'm going to reveal a strategy that I've shared with only three of my clients so far, and
Uh-huh.
I recently got emails from all three, and they said, by the way, I took your advice on this strategy, and it's working like a charm. It's fantastic. You're a genius. Well, it's hard to argue with that. Um, so, and here's the strategy.
Which particular strategy? Go ahead. I'm waiting. Yeah.
It's the cookie strategy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You see, even though I'm, a rough and tough warrior and a martial arts expert, violence doesn't always mean the proper solution to a situation. Oftentimes, kindness, humility, self deference, the ability to be empathetic and helpful works better than violence. It depends on who you're dealing with. Anyway, so the story is I'll just mention one of the clients. She wants to make connections with farmers and producers so that when the food chain gets interrupted, she would
Already
have,
is.
which it already is, right? But when really gets interrupted and people are starving, that she would have some access to the local producers. And she went out and she went to a couple of gatherings, but she wasn't able to break the ice. You know what I mean? And
Right.
she doesn't know what to do. How to meet these farmers and become friends with them, and try and recruit them, because this is again part of building a community. Part of your community needs to include the local farmers. This is I told the story about how my family in Holland during World War II survived because my grandfather was really good friends with all the local farmers. And then while most of Europe was starving back in 1944, my uncles would sneak out of town, go out into the countryside, and go to the farmers who knew who they were because they admired their father, and they would supply them with eggs and vegetables and milk, and they would bring that back to the house, and everybody would be able to eat. So
Okay.
this is a good idea. With what's coming, you need to form connections, and we've talked about black markets, and I get the impression you think I'm something of a criminal, Jeff, but I'm really more like a Han Solo type. No, somebody commented, I think Jeff is annoyed with Stefan.
No, no. Hans Christian Andersen type, even. I'll go that far.
Yeah. But listen, I always tell people you have to be a little bit shady, and if it means making friends with the local Hells Angels, so be it, because they will be the ones that will be running the black market, and you're going to need a black market with what's coming, as well as you're going to need to have connections with the local producers. So she was saying,
Sure.
I don't know what to do. I don't know how to break the ice with them. I don't know how to get to know them. So I came up with this brilliant strategy, an original idea. mark it down because there's not too many of those. I said, okay, here's what you do. Do you know how to bake? She says, yeah, I know how to bake. I said, okay, you're going to bake some cookies. And I want them to be the best cookies. Like for me, I like I like the soft cookies. The ones that you can bend. And my favorite would be peanut butter chocolate chip. Oh man, with big chocolate chips melted in them and really gooey and
Dark chocolate. Dark chocolate.
I'm a milk
That's the
chocolate
best.
kind of guy. I'm a milk chocolate kind of guy. But anyways, I said, so what you do is you bake, 2 dozen cookies. Then you get some of those little brown bags, and you put about 2 or 3 cookies, depending on how big you bake them, 2 or 3 cookies in each one of the little brown bags. I said, now you have a local farmer's market every Sunday or Saturday, right? She says, yes.
Sure.
Now, just about every small town in America and in Canada and in Europe will have a farmer's market. Even when I lived in the city, they had a farmer's market at the local park. They rented they cut off the parking lot for the local park, and every Sunday they had a farmer's market. So you can go there, you can get fresh
Yeah.
food, fresh vegetables. I said, so here's what you do. So you go to the farmer's market, and when you buy something, you hand them a little bag of cookies, and you tell them that you appreciate them providing such fresh produce and bringing the food into the city, into the town, and that you appreciate them so much you want to give them a little reward. And here's a little bag of home-baked cookies. I just baked them this morning, and thank you very much. And then be sure to get their business card.
Hmm.
Now, I said after about a month, everybody at the farmer's market will remember you, and they will start calling you the cookie lady. There's a point to this, and that is nowadays, if somebody comes up to you, Jeff, that you've never seen before, complete stranger,
Right.
and they're really friendly to you and they want to get to know you, what's the first thing you think of? What's
Oh,
this?
what are they after?
What are they
Of course.
after? Of course. What are they after? And this is, partly a result of our degraded society, our mistrustful, selfish society that we don't trust anybody that's friendly. you know. Now imagine as, things deteriorate. Now these farmers are having people come up to them and they're really friendly. So how are you going to break the ice in that case? Do this now. Do this strategy now, because by giving cookies, you are giving first. You're not taking and you're not asking. And that makes a big difference. It really does. So they wrote back and they said, it didn't take a month. Within 2 weeks, everybody knew me as the cookie lady. And everybody remembered who they were. So now you go to the farmer's market, all the producers and the farmers that are selling their goods there, they know you. They recognize you. How can you not recognize? It's the cookie lady. And every week they get some fresh cookies and you get to buy some fresh produce. Now, fast forward 6 months and they've shut everything down and there is no farmer's market anymore. But you've got their business card and you can call them up, or if phones are not available,
Got it.
drive up to the farm and you say,
Sure.
do you remember me? I'm the cookie lady. And they'll say, well, of course we remember you. You're the cookie lady. Would it be okay if I, exchange, a couple of bottles of vodka for some eggs and some lettuce and some carrots and maybe some fresh milk? Do you
This
think
is how the underground economy takes root and begins to flourish and provide for people. It's a very,
Exactly.
very good idea.
Exactly. So, you are known to these people and you're known as not a mooch, not somebody that from the very beginning is trying to take advantage of them. What can I get? What can I get? No, you're giving something. And what is it? What does it cost for us? A little bit of flour and some chocolate chips? $5 maybe? And how long does it take you to bake some cookies? Half an hour? So for $5 and half an hour, you are now a well-known person within the producer farmer community of your local area, and that will come in handy when they shut it down. And now you can go to them directly because they won't be at the farmers market, so you have to contact them directly. But if it was like you and me, I never met them, I didn't talk to them, I call them up, hey, you got some eggs? They're going to say, piss off, right? um, but if they know you're the cookie lady, and I got emails from all of them. They said it didn't take a month. It took 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, everybody already knew me as the cookie lady or the cookie guy.
Very nice. Very nice little story. Uncle Eddie's Vegan Cookies makes a very good peanut butter dark chocolate cookie if you're interested. Mostly all organic, and they're good ones. But
Well,
that's a great idea.
well, that's just
People associate kindness and, well, everybody likes good cookies. Come on.
everybody
So,
likes a
yeah,
good cookie, right? And what you were talking about vegan, the because the lady tried it, and so she became the cookie lady. But one of the
yeah,
guys that I consulted, he became the cookie man. And he said it was a family recipe, and it was all organic, all wholesome. No, what you just said. And he says
sure.
everybody loves them, and he said it only took like 2 weeks, and now everybody refers to him as the Cookie Man. So this is what I'm talking about, Jeff. We need to think ahead. We need to form communities, and this is one kind of a community. I mean, it's not we're all working together, we're patrolling the neighborhood with rifles, but look, if two or three of the local farmers, they remember who you are because the farmers are still going to have food. They just might not be able to get it through the distribution system because the truck drivers are on strike or the stores are closed or the farmers
That's
market
right.
is closed down. And so they still have to sell their produce, but who are they going to sell to? Strangers that drive up to the farm? They're going to be very nervous about that. But the cookie man, the cookie lady, they're going to welcome you with open arms. So that's a strategy, Jeff, and I'm sharing it with your listeners for the very first time.
Oh,
But
it's very good.
but this is how
Common
we have to
sense, very
think.
kind. People love kindness in this day and age, especially. So well
Yeah,
done. Good ideas.
thank you. I thought you'd like it.
Yeah, that's good.
So
Not to
move.
mention, I like peanut butter chocolate chip cookies. So,
So do I. Yeah, peanut butter chocolate chip.
yeah.
Yeah. So, folks, you got to start thinking about those lines right now because, again, this would set up a black market economy. Now, if you can go there and the farmer says, "Listen, I got 6 dozen eggs I need to get rid of." Now, you can bargain and barter for that 6 dozen eggs, and you can bring them back to your subdivision, to your neighborhood watch group, or your check-in club,
Uh-huh.
and you could say, "Guys, I only need 2 dozen eggs for myself. Here's another 4 dozen eggs. Who wants them? Okay, I'll swap them for shotgun shells. I'll swap them for antibiotics, whatever it is." Then you started your black markets. That's how black markets start, and that's where you're going to get your things, your necessities once they close the stores and everything shuts down. That's how you're going to have to how you're going to have to survive. So, folks, start thinking along those lines. And if you can, make friends with the local Hells Angels. How much time we got, Jeff?
Uh, we should take a break right now. We'll come back in just a minute.
That's what I
Got
was
about
thinking.
25 more minutes, so hang on. Yeah,
Okay.
very good.
All right, great.
We'll be back with Stefan in just a few minutes. Stand by. Okay, welcome back. Stefan Verstappen here on this Friday night. What a long week it has been. Wow. I'm going to try and sleep in tomorrow for at least an hour. And you are working hard at trying to wake people up, giving them the tools with which they will have the intelligence and the community to survive this. And without the community, it's not going to be easy. You need friends. You need acquaintances. You need people of like mind because there will not be a lot of cops left very soon. They're fighting. The unions are opposing ludicrous mayoral edicts like Lizard Lightfoot's, but we don't know how that's going to play. 40% of what's remaining of Seattle's police force is expected to resign because they're under a mandate. So we're going to have no 9/11 response. You're going to have to be your own 9/11. And if you've got 5 or 10 people in a group who within one moment will start moving toward your house, if you put out you got a alarm button somehow, you hit a two-way radio, you make a tone, whatever it is, people move right away toward you. That's what's going to happen, Stefan, as you well know.
Yeah, that's what's going to have to happen. You know, part of a lot of what I talk about is the need to be cunning and shrewd, because cunning and shrewd and strategy and tactics will get you through things that just having guns and food won't get you through. And
Sure.
I talked about making friends with gangsters. I'm just going to tell a quick story, and I'm going to get back to the main subject. But I'm going to tell a quick story. I just came back from China. This would be 1992. I got a job as a publicist working for an architectural firm. It was a really good paying job. Trouble was, it was like a 2-hour commute, one way. I did that when I lived there in Alameda, and I had to commute to San Mateo. That was a 2-hour commute, one way, right?
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Oh yeah. So you're 4 hours on the road every day. It's brutal. But
No, 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 no,
but
no, no.
I needed the money. I needed to make the money. It was a good paying job, and so I noticed that there was a strip club on the way to my office, and I thought, well, one day I thought I can't face this goddamn traffic. If I wait an hour, then the commute is only an hour and a half, right? So I thought, well, okay, let's just go into the strip club. I'm not a big fan of strip clubs, to be honest with you. I don't. Well, I was in Asia, but for a completely different reason. I'm not a big fan of strip clubs. But anyway, so I went to this strip club, and the office where I worked had really strict dress code. I mean, you had to be, your socks had to match your tie, kind of thing, or otherwise you'd be called
Huh.
into the office. Stefan, we want to talk to you. What? Well, you're wearing gray shoes and you're wearing a blue belt. We just kind of frown on that. Oh, I'm not kidding, Jeff. Anyway, so I'm all dressed up. I'm Joe, businessman. We've talked about the skies.
You're on the way to work.
I'm on the way home. I'm on,
Home. Okay.
I'm on the way home, right? So
Let
the
me get that
nighttime rush
straight.
hour is the worst,
Right?
right? So I thought, okay, I just don't want to. Let me just stop into the strip joint for a minute. So now I always sit near the door. Anytime I go into a bar, I sit near the door. I sit with my back against the wall, so that way I can see everything. I don't sit by the stage. I don't want to lap dance. I don't want anybody sticking their butt in my face. So I sit at the bar near the door. Okay, and looking out the corner of my eye, I see a stretch limo pull up, and out comes a guy wearing full colors, Hell's Angels, and he's got with him like 3 strippers, and they come into the bar. But as he got out of the limo, I noticed him. I mean, he was probably stoned and drunk. Anyways, he did a couple of like karate chops in the air. He was all full of himself, so he did a couple of karate chops in the air. Okay,
Okay.
noted. So
Hmm.
now he comes into the bar, and I'm thinking, I look around, and I'm the only a-hole in the bar that's wearing a business suit. So I I broke my own law. I broke my own rule, Jeff, because my rule is always know your terrain. Know where you're going. I should have checked this place out before I went in there. I didn't. I was just, I just wanted to, it's after work. I just wanted to relax for a minute, so I just walked in there. So I'm the only guy in a biker strip joint wearing a suit, and here comes I don't know. I think he was the head of the hell. They were Hell's Angels because they had the colors on, right? So he comes in there, and I'm going, holy shit! Who's going to be the target now? The guy sits down in the bar stool at the bar right next to me.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, oh my God, and I can already tell the guy's drunk and he's rowdy because he was already karate chopping the air when he got out of the limo. And he's got his 3 strippers there with him, and he's, being loud and ordering drinks and all that kind of stuff. So What's the best defense? A good offense. So I turned to him and I said, how long have you been practicing Shotokan? Well, the guy's eyes widened. And he looked at me and he says, how do you know? I said, I can tell by the way you walk that you've been practicing Shotokan. Well, his jaw just dropped open, wide open. And he said, how the hell do you know that? I told him, I said, I just came back from 4 years in China studying Kung Fu. Oh, my God. Well, then he's ordering drinks for me, and I was calling up the bar, get this guy something, and he's turning around to the strippers. Did you hear what this guy said? He said he can tell I'm taking martial arts just by the way I walk. And Jeff, this guy was my best friend. He invited me to go, let's go in a limo, we'll snort some coke, we'll drive around, we got the strippers here and all that. Unfortunately, I was married at the time, or otherwise I would have taken him up on it. And to this day, I kind of regret not taking him up on it because you know what? Being best friends or being close friends with the leader of the local Hells Angels chapter would be a good resource. Right?
Well, look, American patriots come in all colors. And if they
Absolutely.
drive Harleys, it doesn't bother me any. I agree.
Yeah. Listen, I've hung out with bikers before, and yeah, they're criminals. Okay, yeah. They do drugs, they sell
No, the
guns.
criminals are in Washington, D.C. They just
Exactly,
dress
but
better.
in the scale of things, what I'm going to be offended by. Anyways, look. But this is what I'm saying. If you can make these kind of connections, and I made that connection just by being observant and then being bold enough to turn to him and say, hey, I can tell you take martial arts by the way you move. Well, that's partly true. I usually can tell by the way a person walks what their personality is. It's something you just kind of pick up. People move the way their personalities are. And so you can read a person's body language and especially the way they move. So, but that just flattered the shit out of him, that he moves
Oh,
like a.
sure. No, that was quite a score. Good job.
Yeah, that was a score, but I didn't follow through on it. I should have gotten in. Anyways, I was married at the
Well, you were
time.
divorced 3 months later. It doesn't matter. I understand.
No, unfortunately, I was married another 10 years, but that's another story. But what I'm trying to put across is again, you got to be kind of cunning and shrewd and observant and be able to fit in.
You
Jeff,
have to meld. You have to meld the terrain to suit your services, and those
exactly.
services are to keep you healthy and wealthy in terms of health.
Yeah,
You got to be wealthy in terms of your health.
yeah,
If you can't bend the terrain and make the terrain work for you, you really have a much more difficult chance at this.
exactly.
It's not going to be easy.
Exactly. See, you're a natural born strategist, Jeff. That's exactly what we have to do. Always, adapt, blend. Because if I didn't do anything, there's a good chance I'd be the target for any violence that occurred in that biker bar. Because I'm the only guy wearing a suit, you know. And so, anyways, I was turning it around. But this is the kind of thinking that, I've been trying to teach people. There's always a way to survive everything, provided you're smart and cunning and observant. And sometimes you
Sure.
need to, what Sun Tzu would call an unconventional attack. So I didn't turn around and sucker punch the guy or anything like that, but I attacked him in a different way, but that subverted him. I attacked him through his vanity. And that's what you need to learn how to do. So,
Thanks. Good point. Very good.
yeah, getting back to communities, again, the key is we have to form our own communities. And the good news is that we can solve all our own problems. For example, what's going to come down the pipe are a number of things. We can lay out, for example, we won't have access to health care. This is a given. We don't have access to health care now. Here in Canada, we have socialized health care. It takes you, 6 months to get an appointment with a doctor, unless you want to go to the emergency room. And in the emergency room, you've got probably an 8 to 12 hour wait because half of Somalia is in line ahead of you. So, and besides, I tell people now, don't go to a hospital. They'll kill you. I would not go to a hospital unless it was like a broken leg or something like that. But if you feel sick, well, of course you're going to be diagnosed with the cooties, and they're going to put you on the ventilators, and they're going to inject you with the Kool-Aid, and well, you'll be dead in a couple of days. So I wouldn't go to a
That's
hospital.
right.
I wouldn't go to a hospital now at all. I mean, you're taking your life into your hands. Even my friend Dr. Ron, who's an emergency room attendant and doctor in California there. He says, I would never go to a hospital. He says, never mind all the other dangers. It's one of the most contaminated places on earth. If you are ever going to catch a disease, it will be at a hospital. So, first of all,
If you see, by the way, if you see a hospital with carpeting on the floor, just
oh,
turn around and walk out.
run, run.
Okay?
Yeah,
Immediately.
yeah. But what did our great grandparents do? Well, they formed mutual aid societies, they formed friendly societies, they formed fraternal societies. And for the equivalent of 1 day's pay a month
Mhm.
as a membership fee, they were provided with all of their health care services. They were provided with dental. They were provided with unemployment insurance. They were provided with emergency funding if they needed it, if they suddenly had a huge expense or something that they had to take care of. The local fraternal society would say, "Yeah, Bob, okay, we're going to lend you $2,000 so you can pay that bill, and then you'll pay us back whenever." This is what people were able to do for each other. This was before welfare, before health care, before government health care, before most forms of health insurance were even available. They did it all
Mhm.
themselves. And they went way beyond this. The money they raised, because if you don't have the government stealing every penny you have and stealing everything they can get their hands on, then something like 1 day's pay a month goes a long way because it's being spent on what is actually needed. It's not being siphoned off through corruption
Sure.
to their cronies and all that. So they became so successful that they built their own clinics. Now, in the beginning, it started off with they would hire a doctor to work full time just to take care of their own patients. And that doctor did so with the now long defunct practice we used to know as house calls. I actually
Oh, yeah.
remember. Yeah, I actually remember. I was very young at the time. I think it was maybe 6 or 7. I had an ear infection, and the doctor came to our house. He had the little black bag, and he examined me in my bedroom, lying in bed, and that's how they did it. So they would have the community would hire a doctor full time just to look after the community, and he would go around from anybody that felt sick. The doctor's coming over to your house to look after you, and like 90% of the things he had to take care of, he could take care of himself. If he thought it might be, a more serious illness, then he would maybe recommend them to a hospital, and he would go there. But basically, they took care of all the sick themselves. So what I'm saying is, we're going to have to think about doing something like that again. We need to form communities, and we can call them. There are medical insurance co-ops, and I don't think too many people know this because medical insurance in the United States is obscene. It's horrible. I can't believe what they charge for medical insurance there in the States. But there are these things called a medical insurance co-op. Now, a co-op is an incorporated entity, and the members of that entity are also the users. And the key factor with a co op is that each member has exactly one vote, the same as anybody else. And it's not, doesn't matter how much they spend in the co op, it doesn't matter how much they donate to the co op. In other words, the rich people don't run it. Everybody pays the minimum fee, and they get
Hmm.
the equal vote in how the co-op is run. And what this co-op would do would be to buy an insurance policy for its members, and it becomes in effect a company insurance policy. So, if you work for a big company, and a lot of times one of the benefits of working for a big company is that you get health insurance through the corporation. And, my wife there in California, she was covered by the company health insurance policy. And when she got sick, she went to a hospital that I've never seen before. It was like a five-star hotel,
Really?
spotless. Oh my God, Jeff, it
Huh.
was spotless. Wonderful service, and the nurses and the doctors and the receptionists, and there was no 100 Somalians waiting in line there. There was no
Oh,
lineup. What's
please.
huh?
Yeah.
There was
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sickening.
Yeah, but she had such a good insurance policy that they paid for the best hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
And what a difference,
Hmm.
because I've been to the local, municipal hospital there in Ventura a couple of times. And okay, they're okay, but, they're dirty, they're crowded, they're busy. It takes them 4 hours for anybody to even talk to you, but you got good insurance. You go to one of these hospitals, oh my God, it was like, I couldn't believe it, Jeff. I couldn't believe it. Now, we can get that for ourselves by forming an insurance co op. And then everybody pays in, but now they get the company insurance policy. And their payments are going to be less, way less than any kind of insurance policy that you can buy.
Well, that's really interesting. Now, you have something coming up that we want to mention real quickly. We don't have a lot of time, so
Okay,
you have
so
it's an online course,
yeah, so,
right? Is
so
that what it is?
yeah, my book is
Uh-huh.
coming out in 2 weeks, The Complete Guide to Forming Communities for Mutual Aid, Support, and
Perfect.
Charity. And I've done an online
Perfect.
course, 10 hours worth of material. And to find out about it, go to my new website called formingcommunities.com. One word, formingcommunities.com. And check out the online course, because what I've been talking about these last few months, it's all in that course as well.
Outstanding. Well, you're contributing mightily to the cause here. We need this kind of information. Nowhere else can I go to find it, so keep at it, and we'll look forward to our next chat. Thank you, Stefan, for everything you're doing. You're making a difference, and it counts.
Thanks, Jeff. My pleasure. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Okay. All right. You take care. Have a good weekend.
You too, Jeff.
All right.
Bye bye.
Thanks. Stefan Verstappen. And it is God, Friday night. All right. Weekend. Plan. Think about it. Whatever resources you have, get some. The supply chain breakdown is all being done intentionally. They want us to be hungry. Don't let them win. Go to the store and order 10 cases of baked beans. Like I say over and over, order what you want, but get something that will keep at room temperature that you can live on. You need this. It's coming. Talk to you soon. Be well.